I'm a diabetic. I have diabetic neuropathy. I have Hashimoto disease, diagnosed, circulatory problems, heart attack, open heart surgery. All as a consequence of having had a toxic exposure about 40 years ago in a theater that I helped start that was actually sitting in a toxic dump where there were barrels of PCPs and dioxins and so forth right underneath the stage. Plus the soil was radioactive. I found that out just by chance. Half of the people that I work with, actors, writers, directors, are dead with an average lifespan of about 59 years, having died as a consequence of this particular exposure and unknown, undiscussed, and I only found out about it by coincidence, by accident. I become very, very ill when I was about 22 while working at this theater. I developed very severe symptoms, arthritic symptoms. I was 22, I couldn't walk. Started getting massive pain, colitis. I had all kinds of problems. Started going to doctors. They didn't know what was going on. The liver was inflamed like this. And then just by coincidence, just by chance, which is how this journey began for me, I happened to walk into the office of a Dr. McLaren, a homeopathic doctor, who told me that I was pre-diabetic and put me on a series of homeopathic remedies which mitigated the symptoms for many, many years. Over the years, however, because the toxic material was inside of me, including, as it turned out, uranium, the soil was radioactive. I found that out at the Whitaker Institute when they did all the blood tests, and they found mercury, lead, dioxins, and then finally uranium. Over the years, I started to get worse and worse. And then about 14 years ago, while shooting a film in Czechoslovakia, I became severely ill with flu-like symptoms, couldn't walk, and they diagnosed 100% diabetes. I think my numbers were over, in the American system, over 300. And then after, and it just got worse and worse. And then finally, I started to develop Hashimoto disease. My thyroid shut down. I gained massive amounts of weight. I couldn't walk. I got stiffer and stiffer, and started this journey, which I'd been on over the years because I was always aware of this, the natural approach on the healing process, which led me to the Whitaker Institute in California, Dr. Julian Whitaker. I was with Dr. Whitaker about 3 weeks. It was Dr. Whitaker who found uranium in my bloodstream and actually called me to his office and asked me if I worked in the nuclear industry. I said, no, I'm an actor. The pharmaceutical approach, which is profit motive, is what's running the whole show. Now here's the problem. The problem is that there is no money in healing. You see, what happens when you heal people is they don't need you anymore. So you don't have a salary anymore. So think about it. Any system that they're going to put in place is going to be a system that's going to keep you sick or sicker. An average diabetic is worth about $3 million by the time he's dead to the current system. Pretty good system, except for one thing. If you're the diabetic, and that's me, if you're the patient, not so nice. And when Dr. Dahl talks about pain, let me tell you about pain. I've experienced it. I know what it feels like. It's not nice. You know, one other statistic that's interesting is that the United States and Canada consumes 80% of the world's painkillers and represents 7% of the world's population. Something is seriously wrong. Why are so many people in pain? Why are opiates and drugs and so forth? Because it's a massive industry. And you guys are fish swimming against the current. You guys are salmon going against the current. The current is to go the other way, but let me tell you something. As a patient, you guys are here because of me. You guys are doctors, or will be doctors, because of people like me. I am the patient. And I'm talking on behalf of patients. Not so nice. Let me tell you, on the inside of it, not so nice. Now most patients, most people, by the time they get to the stage that I've gotten to, the chronic stage, they can't do anything, they can't talk. They can't do anything. They're finished. It's over. They end up doing this. Right? Not so nice. It's very, very unpleasant. So it's for me, it isn't just a profession, it's my life. This is my life. The reason I started Power Health Radio, I've been an actor 40 years, I've done almost 300 movies, I've traveled all over the world, and I firmly believe, Dr. Dahl talks about the spiritual component, I think it's very important. I firmly believe that the only reason I'm standing in front of you is because of the fact that the higher power, God, whatever you want to call it, wants me to talk about this, to help others, because that's the only reason to exist. If you're not here on this earth to help others, you may as well not be on the earth. I'm not as compassionate as Dr. Dahl. I'm a Sicilian, Sicilians have a rather different attitude. But probably that spirit of anger, which I have a tremendous amount of, and resistance is one of the reasons I'm still here. It won't keep me alive, but it's one of the reasons I'm still here talking to you. I want to get this message out. When Dr. Dahl asked me to speak, I said, absolutely, I will speak. I want to talk about this. Painkillers, and the fact that Dr. Dahl points out that pain is even higher, than diabetes and cancer and heart disease, is absolutely true. The psychopharmacological, systems that are in place, and the pain-killing systems, are massive. Billions, if not trillions of dollars, are being made on the suffering of human beings. And that's what they're doing. They're making their fortune on the suffering of human beings. Is there a heaven? Is there a hell? Well, I don't know. But I know one thing, the universe does operate according to karma. You guys are doing karmically good work by being naturopathic doctors. I hope you guys all graduate. But listen to me as a patient. Please listen to me. It's not nice. It's not nice to suffer. It's not nice to have to suffer as a consequence of the venality and the greed of these people, because that's what they are. I'm also involved with something called the Seniors at Risk Coalition. They're keeping older people prisoners in hospitals. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. Constitutional rights have been suspended. I'm involved in a class action lawsuit representing the Canadian people against Health Canada, along with Dr. Dahl and many other physicians, and Dr. Dahl doesn't talk about this, that have been assaulted and attacked by Health Canada. Dr. Dahl was actually assaulted by a SWAT team. A SWAT team was sent into his office home, his wife and him held at gunpoint by lunatics, probably who were medicated, I'm pretty sure, on various drugs. You think I'm kidding? That lunatic that recently shot that child 9 times in that streetcar, 9 times, a guy with a little knife like this. Look at his eyes. Did you see the photographs? Was he probably on some kind of meds? One of not these. Do you understand? It isn't just the fact that people are not being healed, but in fact, almost all the episodes, and if you're aware of this, the so-called Columbine stuff, is a direct consequence. These kids have been put on psychopharmacological drugs, antipsychotics, antidepressives, and so forth. They don't know the impact it has, particularly on alcoholics and drug addicts, which they don't study at all. They don't study. There are 30 million alcoholics and drug addicts in this country, and medical doctors get literally that much study on the nature of the disease of alcoholism, and it is a disease, and as a recovering alcoholic, I can tell you it is a disease. Addicts, addiction is a disease, and they do nothing. They just give them the stuff, and the next thing you know, oh, he was such a nice guy. He just walked in one day and started to shoot everybody in this classroom for no reason at all. Well, did it have anything to do with perhaps that he might have been put on a substance where no true scientific studies, double-blind studies have been done. My background, I understand science, I have some understanding. I studied to be a psychologist, research psychologist, and I know what a double-blind study means. You cannot do double-blind studies with this kind of stuff. It is nonsense to say that this is, quote, scientific, and this isn't. It's nonsense. There is no, quote, scientific, real scientific research on, so-called chemical imbalances that these supposed drugs are addressing. Take a disease like diabetes. Well, what is diabetes? It's type 1, and then I'll shut up. Type 1, type 2, and so on. We know type 1 diabetes, the body's not producing enough insulin. But type 2 diabetes is a very complex disease, very complex. The mitochondrial pumps, the so-called openings on the cells, I didn't know this, will not absorb the sugar into the center where it's burned with insulin. The pump itself breaks up the amino acids or the fatty tissues and so forth, usually because of toxic exposure. Dr. Gelson said that the two causes of diseases were nutritional and toxicological in nature. Toxicity causes disease, and lack of proper nutrition. What is this? Nutrition. What is this? This is Hippocrates. This is the oath that they are supposed to take when they become doctors, and they say, above all, to do no harm. Above all, to do no harm. How can they justify that when they know that all these drugs have massive, horrendous, not side effects, they say side effects, but these are the effects of the drugs. They'll kill you. 750,000 people a year die in hospitals from drugs taken as directed. Fourth leading cause of death in North America. The number one cause of accidental deaths, prescription drugs taken as directed. How can we justify this way of thinking? How can Health Canada and the supposed doctors who are making a fortune, I'm talking about the regular allopathic physicians, and some of the wealthiest people in our society are doctors because of the fact that they can, and so forth. How can they justify? How can they personally live? As a patient, I got to tell you, not so nice. Not so nice. There will be a reckoning. There's always a reckoning. You guys are on the right path. Keep it up. Find courage. Use your brains. Work hard. You might someday save my life. So the lives of so many other people. I want to commend Dr. Dahl for what he's doing. He's a great man. And I got to tell you, Life Choice is, and I've tried all kinds of products, is absolutely excellent. And thanks for letting me talk and share my time.